Hey everybody, how's it going? JT here. I got my friend Hey off of Ethfinance. He's an artist now. This guy's been with us for a while, so you can go ahead and say hi to everybody real quick. That'd be good.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Good to have you
Hope it's
here.
interesting today.
Yeah, well, we're excited you could make it. So we got a little bit of change up in our intro here, so bear with me, folks. So what happened was, Hani Abu's, he told me his hot water tank exploded in his house. I'm going with the cousin Eddie approach that his cousin Eddie from Kansas showed up and his shitter's full. So what I'm getting at is he could not get the Poe app ready for today, and he couldn't update dailydoots.com. So I actually meant to put this link. I put it on the daily. If you just look up my username, let me try to put it in the chat here and see if this works. So we're gonna do it old school. So we're gonna just follow. If you're the type of person that likes to read along or read ahead of time what we're gonna talk about, I put it in the chat here on Discord, and you can open up the thread there. There's also an announcement that I want to get to first and foremost. So let me go ahead and switch out on my screen here, and we'll jump into our interview with Hay in just a few. We're going to do our little bit of a show opener. The weekly Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the ETH Finance community on Reddit. It's a read-along reaction series. If you want to follow along, the links are in the chat. And big thanks to A-Word for curating our weekly list. Big thanks to Tricky Troll for doing the Doots every single day without fail for, 400 some odd days in a row. Amazing. And of course, Hani Abu, when he's not fixing the shitter, for maintaining dailydoots.com and loading up that Poe app into the Poe app machine gun. So thanks to you guys. So if you know anybody that wants to join this interview read along series, we'd love to have you reach out to them, and then they can reach out to me and we'll go from there. So I really appreciate you guys helping out finding those candidates for these interviews. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this announcement. If you're planning this, Hani Abu posted on Twitter, if you're planning on contributing to the next Gitcoin round, August 15th through the 29th, and you want your donation to be matched, make sure you bridge your assets to either, what is PG&E? Oh, Public Goods Network. Oh, that's cool. For infrastructure matching, or the Optimism FND, Optimism Foundation. For the other categories, the bridge links are in the next post. These are trusted links from our very own Hani Abu. So if you're going to do that, you got to get on those two different bridges. And I think we're in bridge summer. It seems like bridges are becoming pretty popular this year. Okay, very good. So there's your announcement. If you want to, you can take and hit that like button on that tweet, and I'm going to go ahead and retweet it live, and away we go. All right, so I'm going to jump into the Trinity. We're going to go straight to Cyberpunk 2077. Chimes in 11 hours ago and says Ethereum Vinegar Strokes clocking in at $1,845, and you got Trisamy 21 clocking in with the ratio of 0.062. A vote for all of you guys. Okay, very good. And let's see, our haiku of the day by JS Tears: Road to Damnation, More Decentralization, and Path to Redemption. JS Tears, how does he do it? Amazing. Thank you. All right, Space Sider. This is your daily beacon chain dose active validator, 720,648 active validators. Pending validators, looks like joining 67 or so thousand. Entry queue is down 500 from yesterday's number. It'll take around 27 and a half days for the entry queue to clear. In around 3 hours, the amount of daily validator, that's today, will be increased from 2250 to 2475. That can all be tracked at validatorq.com, courtesy also of Hani Abu. There's all of your states status graphs and everything for that. So thank you very much to our friend Space Sider, fellow moderator from our cryptocurrency. And it looks like we are ready for Our shit post of the day, because we like to save the best for first by Gen366. Somebody explained to me what we have here. We got the merge. There's only a negative 328 days left until the merge, and there's a panda here with all these X's. Okay, so the joke needs explaining to me. Somebody help me out here. Okay, maybe no one can help me with this one. It's just, it got a lot of upvotes, so it went right over my head. But
So
yeah, thank you.
so during the countdown to the merge, we had this user pop up with
That's
kind of a
right.
countdown,
Yep.
which didn't really get appreciated before because it was a really early countdown. So a lot of people were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Everybody just calm down with the countdowns." But they muscled on and became quite a sub favorite.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden yesterday they popped up almost a year after the merge.
Oh,
We've all kind of been missing the countdowns. So they gave us how long we've been from the merge, but it's a little bit
gotcha.
of a shitpost flavor on there.
That is very good. Okay, thank you for helping me out with that one. All right, so we're gonna come back over to our Zoom call here with Hey. He goes by Hey, Heeey. You can follow him on. He's got a Medium.com site. He's on Art Blocks. He has. I had learned by talking to you previous to the interview here that you've actually been along the ride in this community for about as long as anybody could be, right? So you were here when ETH Trader split to Ethfinance. You're an old friend from back on the ETH Trader days. Go into how you found a ETH Trader and eventually continued on into your work now, and what are you doing? Let's get into this.
So long time ago, it was I learned about Ethereum when Frontier was about to launch.
Mm-hmm.
So that was spring 2015, and got interested immediately and started posting actually on, maybe someone remembers, Poloniex Trollbox.
Yeah. Oh my
Does it ring a bell?
God. There was
Yeah.
so much crap in there. It was amazing.
It was amazing, but somehow from there I got the links to ETH Trader at the very beginning. For the first 2 years or so, I was just silent on Reddit, like read everything but didn't post. I was starting to be more vocal when the schism happened, when ETH Trader became Ethfinance. It was like the after the first big like run up of Ether's price. So there was not much to do, and I was starting to be like active in all these new communities that were coming out of Ethereum, basically. Like I remember maybe someone like all these proto NFT games that began, and I basically, for me, Ethereum, ETH Trader or Ethfinance was kind of the root, and there were all these communities that got started and over time maybe lost some traction, but Ethereum was always there. Personally, I come from the architecture world, which meant that when Ethereum launched, I wasn't able to do anything significant, or at least that's how I felt. And it wasn't until much later when NFTs started to become a thing and design was part of the thing that I could start thinking of doing my thing. From the Ethfinance days, like people probably remember me that I was the one who was doing the daily 10 ETH to 10,000
Yeah.
reminders.
Yeah.
So I did that from, actually I started doing that. So when COVID started, I remember that I started doing that like literally within 1 or 2 days of ETH price bottom. It was not intended, of course. And when I saw that everyone was so excited already, and that like it looked like it was going to 10K, it was like I was very busy at the time. I was having I think my second kid, and I decided to stop. So around late 2020 is when I got into creating my own generative art, because I've been into creative jobs all my life. I've been coding as well for almost a decade, and it kind of clicked together, and it felt really, really like my niche within the niche that blockchain is, right?
What was your favorite style of architecture? I want to go back to what you were doing in the real world. Like, if you could, what was your favorite flavor of architecture, and has that worked its way into your art in any way?
I would say in a way, yes, because to me the most renowned, or the one to look up to, is still the Bauhaus from the 1920s. And that in a way has quite a lot of connections to the minimal approach I have in art. And I feel like both from studying architecture, like art and architecture from that time are intertwined together and kind of the same thing.
So what was your first NFT project that you fell in love with, and then what was the first one that you created? What was the aha NFT project for you that gave you the idea, like, this is so damn powerful? What was that first? What was that thing that hooked you into where you decided you wanted to produce?
So the first one I fell in love with, it's not the same, because it was much like in 2018 when Ethereum's price was going down and down. Like, there was this new game called I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was this company called Loom.
Loom?
They were doing Loom, Loom.
Yep.
They were doing these crypto coding tutorials. They were quite popular at the time. And they decided to go and create a game called it was basically like Gods Unchained. Both came out at the same time, but what happened was that Loom imploded. But I remember that was my aha moment with NFTs. Like, you had this pack of cards that each could be used in the game, and some had these rare traits. And this was a little bit after CryptoKitties, and CryptoKitties felt kind of cool but useless at the same time.
Yeah.
But with Loom, or it would be applicable to Gods Unchained, it was this aha moment of, oh,
yeah,
not so much about the price, but more about the utility of it all. And then for me, for wanting to start trying out to create generative art, so when Artblocks started, I fell in love with it. Like, my first generative art purchase was actually one of Chromie Squiggles by Artblocks creator Snowfro. And like, I was really into, like, when Ringers came out also, I was obsessed with it. Like, it's the simplicity of the artwork and how good it looked. I didn't think of myself as doing something like that at the time. I had other things going on, but I did want to experience what creating generative art was. So I did create a couple early projects that were connecting the curiosity I had with generative art together with my passion for Ethereum and the blockchain. So the first two projects I created were actually blockchain related, adding a visual element to blockchain data. I could share.
I'm actually, if you can see on Discord, I'm showing your artblocks.io collection, and then I'm streaming it also. If you have a link or something you want to pass to me over on the chat.
Definitely, yeah. Let me share a link then.
If you share a link in the chat on Discord, break the link, because the bot will scrape it, or whatever the fancy word is that bots do. These are really neat.
I have this one, which was the first like long form generative art I created. It's a very okay. Let me see. I have like 2,000 tabs open. Okay, yeah, proposers. So that's what I'm going to share.
Oh, neat.
So like.
Very cool.
So,
okay.
What proposers was, it was first and only, to my knowledge, generative artwork that centered on the blockchain data of the Beacon chain.
Wow.
So this other one was Starry Nights. Starry Nights was also, basically, you see all these planets or stars, and all these stars, what they are is each of these artworks or editions is created with a block as the base data, and each block has a number of transactions, right? So users, those who wanted to mint, could go to their favorite block, and they would get a block with a visual matching the number of transactions that that block had had. So when we see like big like black holes, it's generally because that block was empty. I didn't want to make it fully empty. And when we see blocks full of stars, those were like really full blocks that had gas through the roof. So that was those were my beginnings in terms of creating generative art. I don't think I was seeing myself so much as becoming an artist, more like I have curiosity I have curiosity and I want to know what's possible blockchain data, and with creating an algorithm that can be repeated over and over and over again with different outputs.
Yeah, and I always love visual stuff when it comes to blockchain, the way some of these people can put together websites that kind of, put lines between different wallet addresses, and then, just kind of what you've done here with the blockchain data is figure out a way to plot that out. And I mean, it's one of one in the universe, unless we're in multiple universes. But yeah, so this is really something neat. And so how long have you been selling your art for? How many years now?
So here's the interesting thing. So this was early 2021, these two collections. And this was before generative art exploded. So at the time, believe it or not, you could buy a Fidenza for not too much money, or you could buy ringers for like 0.2 ETH or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see it as a job. I saw it like a curiosity I could do. And what happened was that I wanted to continue, but I had some commitments that were in that I couldn't avoid. So I had to spend 1 full year literally working out of the field. So it wasn't like proposals didn't fully sell. I ended up giving it out to the community. I think most people in EVM and Ethfinance, or at least many of them, have one proposer. But Starry Nights did sell out, but I didn't see it as like full-time income or anything like that, or something that I wanted to do it full-time, but I wasn't able at the time. So it wasn't until July last year that I said, okay, now I have some free time on my hands. Let's give this generative art a go.
We call that fun employment.
Yeah, exactly. It's been hard because it's been 13 months since then. And when I had the opportunity for Bright, I was given the news back in January, I knew that was my chance. So I didn't expect it to take 7 months to go from acceptance to release, but I knew that was my one chance within this awful bear market to make it to like have someone think of me as an artist, right? I think of myself as an artist because it's been a year of creating nonstop, but it's more about the timings of things. And hopefully I will be releasing soon a new collection, and I have other collections I'm working on as well that I'd like to release within the next few months. And it feels like now that it's out, it's unstoppable, or it's what I have to keep going.
Yeah.
Keep doing.
Well, you got the ball rolling, and the ball gathers more dust as it goes along. And I'm telling you, man, if you can forge your dream in the middle of a bear market like this that has just been grinding for, endless, seems like endless months of just, retail, walking away. It'll pay off. It'll pay off eventually. It's like you feel like you're an artist and have always been an artist, but it's like this industry, it's like narratives matter. And when people start to finally understand and gravitate towards what, the hardest working people out here, it has staying power. So the best part is, these are pretty timeless pieces of art, and they're going to be around for years to come. And is there anybody in the chat that has any questions before we move on? I want to make sure we open this up. If you're just joining us, I think I recognize everybody that's in the chat. But yeah, we got some people from Palisades back in here again. Good to see you. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Hey. All right. So, Hey, what's next? What's next steps for you? You have several NFT projects that are for sale. You have some on the horizon. Did I see somewhere that maybe your stuff was on Sotheby's, or is that to come, or where are you at on your?
No, I wish.
Yeah, but
not at that level yet.
Yeah.
No, so I have I have a previous collection from Bright that I wasn't able to release yet, because you could, first of all, until very recently, there were no open generative art platforms on Ethereum. So you had closed platforms that you had to apply for, like Artblocks, which has, I think, a 5% acceptance rate. But then you had, if you wanted to create generative art on your own and have the algorithm online without having to create the backend code for it, you had to go to Tethos. And out of principle, that's something I was looking to avoid, because although the Tethos art community is great, it's a community that started or exists because of the inability of the Ethereum art community to adapt in time, right? So
yeah, something I've noticed is that Tezos attracted a really very solid art crowd. I have a friend from eTrader. She's no longer on there very often, but she went to the Tezos community because of the art platforms that they had over there. But go ahead.
So yeah, because there were no outlets for me to show the art I was creating until I got picked up by Artblocks. I had this collection that was finished that I didn't know where to release, right? But in the last few months, things within Ethereum have been picking up, and especially I feel very interested in L2s, like which L2 is going to succeed in terms of generative art. It looks like, to me right now, Prohibition is the best situated. It has a good team, it has a good set of investors behind it. So I'm thinking of releasing there my next collection, and hopefully it will be soon, something like September. In a way, to me, it's closure, and this way I can start concentrating on the work in progress projects I have.
Very good. And okay, so did I hear you correctly? You said Artblocks has about a 5% acceptance rate. So can you go into Artblocks a little bit for anybody that may not know who they are or why they're so important?
Okay, yeah, sure. So Artblocks was created in late 2019 by Snowfro, who was one of the biggest minters of CryptoPunks out there.
Oh, okay.
So I think he had like hundreds of CryptoPunks, literally, from when they were almost free. And he had this idea of having generative art, which has existed for decades, but was not blockchain. And he started Artblocks. It was a mild success in the first 2-3 months, but once good collections started coming out, it had a speed that wasn't stoppable. I don't even know how much money in secondary fees have
Like
been made there.
trading
Like
fees.
if you go see like on OpenSea, like the top collections like Fidenza or Ringers, you'll see like only in secondary fees, like for instance, I'm checking out Fidenza, it has 62,000 ETH in volume. So since late 2019, artists in Artblocks have been releasing generative art nonstop. So they have two tiers, we could say, curated, which are like the bigger projects or like the more expensive ones, and presents, which are like the more experimental ones or the ones that didn't make the cut all the way to the top. So they release 2-3 projects a week. They have become kind of the place to go. Like some platforms have come and gone with popularity, but Artblocks has always been there. And it feels like they have the best chance at success out of all the other platforms because they had good art. They keep having good artists interested in launching with them.
So like OpenSea is kind of like OpenSea is just kind of like a huge, flea market where anybody can sell anything pretty much. And then Artblocks is a little more curated, a little more gate kept, who handpick. How do they vote on who gets in?
So Artblocks is specifically for generative art.
Oh, specifically generative. Gotcha. I missed that. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So yeah, exactly. The difference with OpenSea is that you could upload a project on OpenSea with just, and they could be a bunch of pictures. You could upload a project like CryptoPunks, which is layered images or any of these PFP projects. But Artblocks is centered on is generative art, which is algorithmic art. The artists create an algorithm, functions, math. When you give it a block data, when you give it some block data, this block data is transforms into random numbers that end up being the art generated. So
I see.
When you look at Bright, all these different outputs, they all come from one single piece of code.
Okay, so the artist comes up with the algorithm, and then are all the projects on Artblocks, then they are all infused with blockchain data, and then that just pumps out the whatever the artist's algorithm, so basically you're producing code that's custom code, that's your art is code, and it's just being fed blockchain data, and then out the other side comes an NFT for sale.
Exactly. Yes.
That's pretty cool. I appreciate the explainer. I never knew that's how it was done. I didn't look into it, and that's why I'm really happy you're here. Holy shit! I got a phone call. I'm gonna be like, I'm calling you back, babe. Sorry, let me put my phone on mute here. And by the way, if you like the band Periphery, that's their song "It's Only Smiles." I suggest you take a listen to that. But okay, so now we've got a nice idea of what Artblocks is, and we got an even better idea of what you're doing there, along with what's your other, let's see, you have a Medium site as well, heeey.medium.com, and you've got something called, it's called Bright. Okay, and you release Bright on Artblocks on August 7th. Okay, very good. And how many pieces are available?
So it was a collection of 360. Basically, the birth of the collection is decided on, at least I decided on the variance of the code, the variance the code can produce, right? So have several shapes, several ways colors can interact with each other, girths of lines, lengths, and me the perfect number for like to have enough variety and non-repeating outputs was around 360.
Excellent.
So luckily, like the EVM community, like so kind. They went behind the project. It sold out on Monday night, so that was amazing.
Wow. Congrats.
So I think yeah, it was it. So I was really nervous going to the release, because if you look at previous projects, it was hit or miss. Some were selling out, some were not. So I was like, there were so many kind people from here and from a couple other communities that I follow that were sharing the artwork, and I feel like some people saw it, liked it, and by 2 a.m. my time, like some people started minting it like crazy, and as if there was no bear in our hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really emotional for me. I'm very, very thankful.
This is neat, man. No, that's got to be exhilarating just to know that community's got one of our own's back out there. I mean, you've been a long time contributor, and really glad that you could make it on the show today. Is there anything else you want to share before we move on down this week's Doots, or is there anybody in the public voice chat that would like to chime in on this conversation? Feel free to unmute. Other than that, hey, do you have any words? Anything you want to mention?
No, just again, well, thank you for your time. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who had my back and who looked at Bright and thought, oh, this is cool, and wanted to get one for themselves. I'm very thankful. That's the way I can put it.
Excellent. Anybody in chat want to chime in? All right, very good. Well, keep us posted on your next steps and where you're going from here. Feel free to hang out. You're our guest today. If you can hang out as long as you want, chime in on whatever the weekly Doots are that are coming ahead here. So I'm just going to move on down the list here. Let's see. We're going to go right into Benito 2030 is impressed with Gnosis. Benito's a Duder 49. Every day I'm more impressed with Gnosis and feel stupid for not paying attention earlier. Let me blow up my screen a little bit here. Cow Swap, despite the name, is such a cool project, and it was way ahead of its time. Safe is another project they spun out, and it is both a good project, but apparently also infra, since a lot of projects make use of safe smart contracts. They merged with XDAI and created Gnosis Chain. It's probably the third most decentralized blockchain out there because the team wants it to be decentralized by giving away free validators via promotions. Now there's Gnosis Pay around the corner. Whenever people talk about it, the team is characterized as smart, ETH-aligned, right curve. Their thesis is there is a lack of decentralized block space, something this community probably agrees with. Yes, this post could be considered shilling. This is not my intention. I just want to make sure people don't make the same mistake I did, but maybe use some minutes to dig in a little deeper because I think a lot of members here will support it. Disclaimer, I own 4 GNO because I was fortunate enough to receive those 4 free validators via a DApp node promo. That's by way of Benito 2030. You're not shilling, you're teaching, my friend. You've been around long enough. We know your name around here. So good. And he's got some support from some other people on Ethfinance as well. Very good. Excuse me, my throat's been a little weird today. User Spontaneous Dream discusses the latest Curve exploit developments. I was gone for a few days, and boy, do things move fast here in crypto. There's a big elephant in the room right now with the ongoing Curve disaster. We are essentially on the verge of a DeFi Black Swan event. If the Curve exploiter decides to sell their Curve roughly 8% of the circulating supply, or if market conditions push CRV price to Egorov's liquidation. There's not enough liquidity for the liquidation, so CRV prices would not only go straight to zero, but numerous protocols would also be at risk for bad debt. Obviously, everyone should be withdrawing all funds from Curve immediately, and likely any other protocols that could be impacted should Curve indeed collapse. See impacted protocols here. And there's a tweet. Aave, Abracadabra, Fraxland, Inverse Finance, Staked Out, and Silo. 48% of the circulating Curve supply is deposited as collateral by the Curve founder alone. Wow. Okay. Aave is particularly in trouble as they hold the largest CRV bag right now. Bankless also has a good discussion on the situation over at this site here. Looks like there's a YouTube video from Bankless and the boys. Furthermore, I had no idea that Egorov controlled such a huge amount of the Curve supply, nearly 50%. What the hell, people? Sorry, that's me editorializing. Not only that, but this dude has leveraged it across numerous protocols, supposedly to buy himself a massive mansion. Am I reading this correctly? How does this thing like Curve have like users still? Is it just people that 50% of the supply? Get with the program, folks. Sorry, that's just me again. This is absolutely crazy to me and extremely irresponsible. SBF did the exact same thing when he borrowed against FTT. Curve distribution is clearly heavily centralized amongst a small group of people. Egorov seems to be intent on paying down that loan with OTC trades, over-the-counter trades, but will it be enough? Speculation that OTC buyers seemed to have acquired Curve at 40 cents. With a gentleman's agreement to hold for roughly 6 months. But are you really going to trust those buyers to hold up that deal when you can sell right now for an immediate profit at roughly 60 cents? Not to mention that all of the affected protocols are now rushing to increase their borrow rates to avoid being the ones left with the bag of Curve bad debt. Anyways, my hope is that Curve does not collapse, but if it does, it looks like Aave holders will be left with the bag and forced to take a haircut. I believe Aave has some sort of insurance fund, but of course, it's denominated in Aave. I'm not sure how effective that fund will be when the DAO has to rapidly sell off. Before I read this reply, I want to see if anybody wants to chime in on this, because I know a couple people have Aave exposure in here in the past. There's a reply here. I just want to go into it real quick. Mr. Vodnik, he's a 21 duder, replies, and he had 16 upvotes on this. If I had any dry powder left, I'd buy Curve. First of all, it's not Curve that could collapse, but CRV, and only in terms of price. Secondly, it can't go to zero. It has intrinsic value that won't go away. If it did go anywhere near zero, I'd buy it all to collect all the fees from the platform forever and ever. Of course, it's way more complex than that, but still long-term Curve is fine. It's just in a rough patch. And then a reply to him, this man owns 40% of the supply, which is using the leverage and gamble. I just go back to that. The tokenomics aside, I just go back to the fact that so much of the supply is held in one person's hands. It's like, trust me, bro. Once again, we've been through this crap before. Okay, I don't think anybody wanted to chime in on that. 696 has a spectrum, discusses the spectrum of anonymity. I just finished writing an article of thoughts and posted on my paragraph, but I think you guys would appreciate. 696 is at paragraph.xyz at 696eth. All right. Anonymous is public. It's potential packed on. Okay. Let me know your thoughts and what your feels are, whatever relates. Anonymous. Here we go. Definition. No personal information shared. No identifiable characteristics, possibly using pseudonyms. No public information, real life identity, completely hidden. And then we have the complete opposite. Public. Full name and identity openly shared. All content visible to anyone associated openly with real world identity. No extra hidden identity on top of public. It's just an extra tool. But is that all? I don't think so. I view it more as a spectrum, and I'm attempting to showcase it here. Pseudo-anonymous. Some identifiable traits such as location or interest, but not full name. Pseudonyms that may be tied to some public information could be traced back to an individual with enough effort. I would consider my own identity to be pseudo-anonymous, and I consider someone like Punk6529 to be pseudo-anonymous as well. While he's really unknown, including his voice, it's now a solid standalone identity. How about partially identifiable? Profile pic or name that doesn't give full identity, limited personal information, shared connections, real-life friends or acquaintances. Public but restricted identity, full name and possibly other identifying details, restricted audience, and control over content. Right now, we have ended up with this spectrum: anonymous, pseudo-anonymous, partially identifiable, public but restricted, and public. What can we derive from that? The more you are on the right-hand side towards public, the higher the chance your real life and online social identities are overlapping. They are probably more integrated too, as it's more of an addition to your identity. However, I do see scenarios and examples of famous people where even with fully public profiles, there's more of a divide, boundaries, and maybe even compartmentalization between one's identities. There's certain information that stays private, as not everything needs or nor fits to be into the place to be shared publicly. So this goes on from there, and he says, in no shape or form am I going to be turning it into more of a scientific endeavor, at least for now. So even if I end up bringing up more nuanced approaches and understanding of one's own psyche, I'm not going to be referencing any articles and probably no outside resources. It would be more of a trust me bro moment. There's that phrase again. But this is where my personal subjective perspective would come in more handy. Okay, so P.S. It's one of the first times I've used ChatGPT to help me with the writing, more in terms of charting the initial spectrum, and that is where it's been more involved. Usually I ask it to help me to proofread, help find the right words and format the structure, but this time it also generated the vision spectrum that I envisioned in my head pretty well. I still had to make sure it worked out, though. Interesting approach there, 696, coming up with ways to kind of make definitions and spectrums on identity. Moving on down the list. Moving on down. Let me knock out some tap. Man, those bright NFTs are pretty slick, I have to admit. Really cool. Logri the Bard. By the way, he crossed 75 Doots this week, although we don't have it updated on dailydoots.com. Logri the Bard covers the latest communications from the Curve Alchemix Explorer. Oh man, he's the Liam Neeson of our daily. Message from the hacker. It was a white hat operation from the very beginning. I was on vacation when I saw the JPEG exploit, and I found a place to open my laptop to see what was going on. It really confused me why the non-reentrant decorator was bypassed. There's couple of words I've never said together, but I didn't have time to figure everything out. So I wrote code and test all ETH pools. I knew many others are doing the same thing. I'm not sure if they will refund, so I need to beat them. I received your bounty message, but I think 20% or 2,400 ethers is a reasonable reward. We can discuss about it. For this wallet address, I saw your operations on chain. You're really a ridiculous asshole, end quote. Okay, and Logri says, sure, that's why you're sitting on 5,000 ETH and waited a whole week rather than engaging with Alchemix early. That's why you interrupted the Alchemix team from white-hatting their own operation. I can hear you squirming in your chair. That's after this fun message from the hacker, quote, I saw some ridiculous views, so I want to clarify that I'm refunding you not because you can find me. It's because I don't want to ruin your project. Oh, Lord. Maybe it's a lot of money for a lot of people, but not for me. I'm smarter than all of you. F word. By the way, the other guy he's referring to was sent this message from what could be or maybe the FBI. Quote, The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, have been closely monitoring recent activities related to the theft from the Curve Finance. We understand that you have not directly stolen the funds, but have instead profited from the aftermath of the hacking incident through illegal arbitrage, end quote. That's some serious 4chan board vibes and gaslighting coming across. Also a fun message directly with the arbitrager. Quote, I made a mistake when protecting user assets, so you get a windfall. I think we should give the money back, don't we? So very good, Logri. Thanks for sharing that. Excellent. Chime in at any time if anybody has anything they want to add to this. All right, very good. Moving on. Go ahead.
So I'm traveling, so my mic might not be great right now, but
sounds good.
The even now that they've returned all of the funds, due to the sloppy way that it was executed, there's still a huge hole from like the Alchemix LP of about 3,800 AL ETH, just because of arbitrage. He drained the pool on one side, so people were able to scoop up AL ETH at like 1/1000th of an ETH or something dumb, right? Just because of how the curve pools work. So even if they get the money back from like one or two of these people, it's just scattered to the wind, right? You have tips that went to the rocket pool smoothing pool or to validators as the gas wars went on. You have multiple arbitragers who have made or lost fortunes on this, right? So just to how it was executed, these things can get so complicated. So we'll see if the Curve ecosystem wants to try and make people whole in any way. We'll see if the Viper ecosystem wants to try and make people whole in any way. We'll see how once the size of the loss is more well understood and the number of actors have been clearly quantified, we'll see how the Alchemix DAO wants to try and make people whole in any way. So at this point, we're in assessment and value alignment, right? Trying to figure out what is the relative priority of loss and who should bear it. And then they're going to put forth plans in the DAO, and then it's going to go to a DAO vote, which is governance as intended, right?
There we go. So governance tokens are not all trash, right? This one could matter. Very good. Thank you, Logri. Duder number 75, you went up on the board this week. I'm trying to remember, was it Crypto Currency? Somebody, I have the tally on my side, but Hani Abu hasn't been able, he is not going to be able to update dailydoots.com, but we had somebody that double dude and they went over 50. I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Crypto Currency, who's been on a roll lately. Okay. Thank you. Once again, Logri, Data Crunch, oh boy, here we go. Creates a WorldCoin themed dystopian creepypasta. Oh shit. Data Cruncher writes, in the year 2030, the world was gripped by a feverish craze for WorldCoin. Oh my gosh, I should do this in movie guy voice, huh? Not that I have a good one. A digital currency that soared to an astonishing $1,000 per coin. As its value skyrocketed, so did the madness for self-protection, as criminal gangs roamed the globe, ruthlessly extracting eyeballs. Holy fuck. Pardon my French. From random unsuspecting victims in order to steal their monthly distribution. Panic-stricken citizens rushed to buy locking space helmets on Amazon. Oh, shit. I hope I can get through this. On Amazon to shield themselves from this horrific wave of attacks. In the shadows, a dark and sinister practice emerged known as UBI farming. Heartless corporations orchestrated a chilling scheme, breeding children in mass like commodities. Mothers were offered exorbitant sums up front in exchange for their newborns, a haunting transaction that treated innocent lives as tradable assets. The younger the child, the higher the price they commanded, for their issuance time represented the potential for greater profit. Curiously, the streets that were once plagued by a homeless crisis seemed to be clearing, but not in a way that brought relief. Whispers circulated amongst a small group of concerned individuals as they noticed the homeless population vanishing without a trace. An eerie sense of unease shrouded the cities, raising questions about what sinister forces might be at play. The world's population, once threatened by decline, now faced a different challenge. The alluring payments for bearing children had birth rates soaring. However, in a cruel twist of fate, the number of humans created outpaced the actual users of the world coin ecosystem. Instead of investing in the future or using it as a form of money, the growing number of people merely swapped their coin for ETH or their local currencies, leading to an inevitable and catastrophic plummet in its value, reducing the prized world coin to worthlessness. Amidst the chaos and desperation, the fate of humanity now hung in the balance as people grappled with their insatiable greed and the consequences of their reckless actions. The future of the world remained uncertain as its dwellers continued to navigate through this dystopian nightmare. Holy shit, that's freaking epic. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in on that. I can't believe I missed that one. That one's awesome. I need to throw a note on Data Cruncher. World coin dystopia shit post. I love it. Yeah, crazy, huh? I just extracting eyeballs and locking space helmets. That got me right there. I still got a tear in my eye. Thank you, man. You brought joy to me today. Personally, appreciate that. All right, moving on. PA7X1 has some more thoughts on the future of Ethereum regarding use cases and how we will fill all that block space. And then Spins 808, 808 kick drum, 808 clap, shares their thoughts on the opportunity posed by the integration of Web3 with the music industry. Interesting. PA7X1, I think we tend to assume, this is Duder19, great contributor. I think we tend to assume we need a new big use case because the past waves of adoption were triggered around DeFi and NFTs. So it's tempting to assume we need to invent something new to trigger the next wave, but I disagree. At the end of the day, what a blockchain does best is keep track of ownership and execute general purpose logic around said ownership. This, to me, suggests that tokenization of everything is the big use case of blockchains, of which DeFi and NFTs are the two main pillars representing fungible and non-fungible assets. What the future will bring, in my opinion, will be more tokenization of more assets and improved user experience around that tokenization. For instance, privacy. One use case we haven't seen much of is music streaming. Current platforms, for example, Spotify, are very opaque towards musicians. A platform where songs are tokenized, users pay to stream them, and royalties are paid transparently and programmatically to musicians may be interesting. I could see small independent musicians giving it a try. Spins 808, first time duder. Actually, congrats. I just now realized this is their first time on the Doots list, and they made it on the weekly, their first Doot. What that tells me is they need to keep on posting because I got something to share. Don't just lurk. Spins 808 says, blockchain music streaming was my aha moment for Ethereum and smart contracts, but traditional music industry and outdated laws around it make it really hard for any innovation. You could get independent musicians to upload on a Web3 Spotify, but having limited music collection in a different app really sucks from a user perspective. There's also a few blockchain distributors that take data from Spotify API and front or pay out the money in real time, but none have really taken off. Distributors kind of suck anyway because they're not interoperable, and you got to get every musician on the song registered on the same distributor. I love this idea around NFTs that work with music really well. Quote, free to listen, valuable to own, end quote. There's projects like Sound.xyz executing on this really well. Recommend checking it out to anyone interested in Web3 music. In this world, Ethereum is the distributor and the quote source of truth for the song, and any artist that can mint their songs easily. Then you can get a third-party apps built on top of that ecosystem like Spinamp or Future Tape, which aggregate music NFTs into Web3 Spotify type app. I'm going to go on about Sound.xyz. Kevin Owaki just interviewed the founder on the Green Pill podcast. I highly recommend you guys go to the Green Pill YouTube channel and listen to that interview. So the aha moment for Sound.xyz is that you have the ability to give more to certain artists. And the way he said it was so eloquent. When you go on Spotify or Amazon Music or whatever and you're streaming, you might have an artist that you really love, and then you just have other artists that you just passively listen to. And what Sound.xyz does, like these artists get paid per, stream, right? So if let's say you're okay with listening to music passively, but you really, really love Government Mule or some band out there, right? Well, what you could do on Sound.xyz is basically, instead of everybody getting one stream every time you play the song one time, it's like you're able to give artists that you love 100 streams. So, and the way he said it was, we don't have all the time on the earth just to listen to a song on repeat to help our artists. So think of it as being able to put your money where your favorite artists are, and it goes directly to them. It doesn't get filtered through the SoundCloud or Spotify, just general rotation. So it's really geared towards people who actively listen to music. They don't just kick on whatever, chill hop, passive playlist of music. These are people that love music and want to love their musicians at a more one-to-one. I mean, as an artist, when that when I was running my rock band, I had a 7-piece rock band back in the day with a full horn section. We would go to shows and perform, and there was nothing better than like people coming up to the merch table, and they didn't just buy the shirt, they wanted us to sign it while we were there. And that was like a real bonding moment, right? And I just wish that we could have had the ability to decentrally get our music out there, because we had we had fans that would have paid $100 for our CD if they had a way to do it. So that was Sound.xyz. I suggest giving it a listen. Find a podcast, listen to the creator of that site, because it's so hard to break out. Technology in the music industry is so gate kept. It's ridiculous. At least in the United States, there's like 3 radio conglomerates that run everything, right? Everything. Clear Channel. There's another one that starts with an E, but anyway, you get the idea. All right. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in on that. I just kind of got off. I'm going to get off my soapbox on that. Sound.xyz. Thanks for sharing that, A-Word. I'm glad you put that out there. That was a good dude. And shout out to Spins 808 for making their first dude appearance, and they made it on the weekly. Moving on down the list, Ether Raider has a call to action. Here we go. Call to action for the EVMavericks community. Ether Raider says, hey, everybody, Mavericks are organizing to launch a community curated art collection around a central theme. The theme to be decided. Feel free to make suggestions. The idea is to have as many artists as possible, hundreds if we can, contribute a piece, or maybe a few if we decide to make it a 2 to 3 limit or something like that, to create an epic crowdfunded collection we can showcase. To my knowledge, this sort of collection would be the first of its kind and literally decentralized NFT project. Not only would this be a fun way to rally the community together and create something new or unique, but would actually be a really interesting art concept as a whole. Imagine if our theme was the merge and we had hundreds of different artistic takes on that in all different styles. Would be really cool to see. Any funds raised from this, artists would vote on putting towards whatever cause we want. Drop a comment below and come to the Discord channel, the quote, Untitled Art Project. It looks like it's on the sidebar here. If you want to join up to become an Insta famous artist, we have over 20 plus artists already committed as of an hour ago. Hey, are you on that list? If you can hear me.
Yeah, I am.
Kick ass. I'm wondering if I can get a hold of like a DC investor and see if he's got some artists he knows of that might be interested. It'd be awesome to get over 100 plus, make this collection super diverse. Anybody reached out to Logic Beach? There's another heavy. Logic Beach would be wonderful. We all have our favorites. He's one of mine. Okay, very good, Etherator. Thank you. Do you want? Oh, he's deaf and he can't even hear me. If you wanted to. All right, Alexis KFEF. Shares a big a development in Web3 messaging. Here we go. I don't know if this was shared already, but Etherscan has finally released a block-scan chat mobile app. In their own words, quote, chatting with any Web3 address via wallet-to-wallet messaging is now easier than ever, all in one mobile app. The app has features such as pinned chats, archived chats, anti-spam protection, push notifications. Finally, Etherscan lists some potential use cases. Negotiate on trading an NFT, send alerts or notifications to your community, connect with new friends at an ETH event, text your on-chain crush, and get left on scene. Personally, I've been using the chat feature on the Etherscan webpage, and I've indeed negotiated a sale of an NFT and an ENS about a year ago. Worth noting is that all conversations are end-to-end encrypted. Thank you. Okay, Tricky Troll replies, this could be big. The requirement of a phone number is the main thing holding back Signal, which otherwise is an incredible privacy tool. Hopefully, they will flesh this out as well as Signal, and we can start spreading its network effects. Okay. All right. Oh, somebody said Bago Jail 12. They forgot about the potential use case. Negotiate with the hacker the bounty to return funds. It's kind of interesting. You can talk to people. Okay. Nixora Kish warns of a fake base ENS domain scam. Don't mint anything today that's marketed as a .base domain. One was sent to me from a friend who saw it on Farcaster. I haven't seen any scams on there until today, and I minted a couple before I realized that they were just .base, .eth subdomains. There were no docs. And the ENS domain was created 9 days ago. It isn't associated with Coinbase or Base in any way. And that I'm a big old dummy, and sometimes I forget a golden rule. Quote, does it create a sense of urgency? Then it's a scam. That's a good rule to live by. Nice website, though. Careful out there around new launches. Scams aplenty. Yeah. Seems like when Coinbase did their, what's it called? The summer. Anyway, they're doing that currently right now. And it seems like on Twitter in particular, it's like there's the same crafted message of Optimism's doing this airdrop or this other thing's doing an airdrop. But now, I mean, they're jumping off of whatever's in the news and then creating it as if it's coming from all these other teams at the same time, you know, Meta or whatever. They're getting really, really sophisticated, staying on top of the news and immediately deploying the scams. It's just like, it's like if you're a company, you're almost scared to death these days of issuing airdrops or stuff like that. Just the amount of noise that's flying around. Okay. I think that's it for today. Does anybody have any comments before we wrap up this show? I'm going to go ahead.
I really appreciate Nick getting down and dirty with these scams, fleshing them all out for us, right? She's willing to go into the trenches and actually fall victim to some herself. She's always keeping an eye out and keeping everyone's security safe. So big shouts to Nix.
Very good. Yeah, here for Nix. All right. Well, I think that's it. So thanks again to Hey for stopping by today. Stick around after the live stream because we continue the party.
Thank you, everyone.
In the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. It's a fun place to let loose when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of Ethfinance and the EVMavericks DAO, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City.